You're not man enough for her. My name is Derek Thompson. I'm 51 and spent 12 years in Army Special Forces before moving to Denver, Colorado. Jake Martinez had just made the biggest mistake of his life. I was standing in the doorway of PowerFlex Gym, watching this 25-year-old trainer flex at me like his muscles made him dangerous. He'd been training my wife Sarah for 3 months. Personal sessions that ran long. Text messages at weird hours. The kind of stuff that makes a husband pay attention. The evening crowd was watching us. Office workers, college kids. Everyone could see something was about to happen, and Jake wanted them to see it. He wanted witnesses when he embarrassed the old husband who couldn't keep his woman happy. "Walk away now," Jake said, standing where the mirror showed off his muscles. "Sarah told me all about you. How you've gotten soft. How you don't take care of yourself." I didn't say anything. Just walked to a bench and sat down. Started untying my work boots. Jake followed me, getting braver with each step. He thought my quiet meant I was scared. If you like stories about cheating and how the truth always comes out, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Every day brings new stories, each one crazier than the last. The gym people were gathering around. I could see their phones coming out. Social media loves this stuff. Old guy getting beaten up by young trainer. Easy clicks. Sarah and I got married 16 years ago when I left the Army. She worked at a bank then. Professional clothes. Good at handling difficult customers. We bought a house in Highlands Ranch after 2 years. Talked about having kids, but it never happened. Military training teaches you to watch for changes. Sarah's routine had been different for months. More time at the gym, new clothes that showed more skin. She talked different when she mentioned her day. Jake Martinez started showing up in conversations slowly. First, he was just the new trainer. Then it was Jake says I should do this exercise. Then came late-night texts she said were about workout schedules. I know how to spot when someone's collecting information about you. Did it for 12 years overseas. 3 weeks back, I drove by the gym when Sarah was supposed to be there. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. When I asked about it later, she said she switched to morning workouts. But her gym bag was still in the closet and she came home smelling like perfume, not sweat. That's when I started really watching. Sarah would shower right when she got home, even though she said she showered at the gym. She started putting her phone face down during dinner. Never used to do that. Small things, but they added up. Last week I saw them at a coffee shop downtown, not the gym. Sarah was laughing at something Jake said, touching his arm the way wives don't touch their trainers. They didn't see me, but I saw enough. So I called David Chen, private investigator, former military police. I'd used him before for work stuff. Within 72 hours, he had what I needed. Photos, text messages, hotel receipts, a complete timeline going back 2 months. But David found more than just cheating. Jake had a pattern. 3 other married clients in the past year, all divorced now. This wasn't just some affair. This guy was targeting marriages on purpose. David's report was detailed. Time-stamped photos of Sarah walking into the Marriott downtown at 2:47 p.m. on 3 different Tuesdays. Jake's Mercedes in the parking garage every time. Text messages from Sarah's phone backup. "Can't wait to see you again. Derek's working late again. You make me feel alive." The worst part was the money trail. Sarah was using our joint credit card for the hotel rooms. Expensive dinners charged to our account while she told me she was eating salads at the gym cafe. She wasn't even trying to hide it. The pattern went back further than I thought. Chen had checked Jake's social media. Photos with at least 4 other married women over 18 months. Always the same setup. Fitness posts, couple photos that disappeared later, then divorce announcements from the women. Jake Martinez wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was running a business. But here's what Sarah didn't know. I'd spent 6 months setting up treatment for her mother. Eleanor got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and the specialists at University of Colorado Hospital cost serious money. I'd been working overtime contracts, using up my military pension, even thinking about a second mortgage on the house. Every night, Sarah thought I was being distant. I was on the phone with doctors, insurance companies, treatment people. Every weekend, she thought I was ignoring her. I was researching cancer treatments, flying to appointments, making sure Eleanor had the best chance to live. While I was working myself to death to save her mother's life, Sarah was in hotel rooms with a 25-year-old who thought doing curls made him tough. I was going to surprise Sarah once everything was set up. Eleanor's treatment paid for, her doctors ready, good chances for recovery. I thought Sarah would cry and thank me for taking care of her family. Instead, I'm watching her trainer try to scare me in front of 43 people.
"So what's it gonna be, old man?"
Jake asked, cracking his knuckles. "You gonna do something about it? Or just sit there like you do at home?" That last part confirmed what I already knew. Sarah had been telling him about our private life, making me sound like the bad husband who didn't care about her. I finished tying my shoes and stood up slow. Jake thought this meant I was stiff and old. He was half right. I'm 51, not 25. But those years taught me things his gym workouts never could. "Jake," I said, keeping my voice normal, "you've been training my wife for 3 months now." He smiled. "That's right. And let me tell you, she's been very dedicated to her workouts. The gym crowd laughed at the sexual joke. Jake played it up, flexing for his audience. He was loving this, feeding off their attention. Dedicated, I said, nodding. Sarah always finishes what she starts. Something in how I said it made Jake pause, but he covered it up with more tough talk. Maybe you should take notes, old man. Learn what it takes to keep a woman interested. I looked around the gym. 43 people watching, most with phones out. 2 exits. Jake was standing with his weight forward. Street Fighter stance he probably learned from YouTube. Looked good, but wouldn't work in real fighting. What Jake didn't understand is that Special Forces isn't about being the toughest guy around. It's about reading situations, finding advantages, waiting for the right moment to use exact pressure. Every enemy we caught in Afghanistan made Jake's same mistake, thinking that being aggressive means you're strong. I spent 12 years learning that real power comes from patience, from letting your enemy show their weaknesses while hiding your own abilities. Jake was showing me his problems with every move, obvious punches, predictable steps, bad decisions when under pressure. The crowd thought they were watching a fight. What they were really seeing was a lesson in fighting psychology. I wasn't trying to hurt Jake. I was letting him hurt himself while 43 people recorded every second of his career ending. You know what I learned in 12 years Special Forces, Jake? I asked, loosening up my shoulders. Patience. How to wait for exactly the right moment. Jake's smile got bigger. Special Forces, right? And I'm a Navy SEAL. The crowd laughed. Jake had them on his side, the young bull ready to beat up the old man. He started moving toward me, probably planning to grab my shirt, maybe push me around for the cameras. That's when I smiled different. Not the polite smile I'd been using. A different one. The kind that meant planning time was over. You're right about one thing, Jake, I said, getting into a stance he wouldn't know. This is already over. He threw the first punch, putting all his gym muscle behind it, aiming for my jaw in front of 43 witnesses. Kid had no idea what he just started. Jake's right cross came at me like he'd been practicing in mirrors. All power, no skill. I moved slightly left, let his fist go past my ear by about 2 inches. His momentum carried him forward off balance, and I helped him along with just a light touch to his shoulder. He stumbled past me and crashed into the weight rack. 45-pound plates hit the floor like thunder. The crowd burst out laughing. Jake got up fast, face red with embarrassment. Lucky dodge, old man, he said, but I could hear he was getting worried. Was it? I asked, still standing in the same spot. Jake charged again, going low for a tackle. Football move that probably worked on other gym guys. I just wasn't there when he got to me. Stepped aside at the last second, used his speed to send him face first into the rowing machine. Big thunk sound. Jake bounced off and hit the floor hard, his perfect hair messed up, confusion replacing confidence. What the hell? He said, pushing himself up. You're showing your moves before you make them, I said, calm. Drop your right shoulder before you punch. Lean forward before you charge. Basic mistakes. The gym was quiet now except for phones recording. Jake's embarrassment was being filmed from every angle. Each time he swung and missed, each time he crashed into equipment, each time he showed he couldn't handle real pressure, he was destroying his reputation better than any punch I could throw. Best part? He was doing it himself, in front of an audience he brought together to watch his victory. Military intelligence taught me that the best way to beat an enemy isn't to destroy them yourself. It's to make conditions where they destroy themselves. Stop moving and fight me like a man, he yelled, coming at me again. This time I caught his wrist while he was swinging, redirected his energy, and sent him spinning into the leg press machine. He hit it sideways, the crash going through the whole floor. Jake was breathing hard now, sweat showing through his tight shirt. The confident smile was gone, replaced by frustration and panic. How are you doing this? He asked, wiping blood from his split lip. 12 years Special Forces, I reminded him. You thought I was lying about that. But Jake didn't know what was coming next. Jake's eyes got narrow. Pride wouldn't let him quit. Not in front of this crowd. Not with everything being recorded. I don't care what you used to be, he said. You're just an old man now. He came at me with a wild punch that would have knocked me out if it hit. Instead, I ducked under it, let him spin himself around, and gave him just a little push toward the free weights. Jake crashed into a dumbbell rack, sending 20 and 25-pounders rolling across the floor. People scattered, their laughter getting louder with each of Jake's failures. Stay down, son, I said. You're embarrassing yourself. But Jake was past listening. His reputation as the gym's tough guy was falling apart with every failed attack. He grabbed a 15-pound dumbbell off the floor and came at me swinging it like a bat. The crowd made shocked noises. This had gone from embarrassing to dangerous. That's when I stopped playing around. I caught Jake's wrist as he swung, put pressure on a nerve spot I learned in combat training. His fingers went numb right away, the weight dropping to the floor with a loud thud. Trying to assault someone with a weapon, I said quiet, still holding his wrist in front of 43 witnesses. You sure you want to do that? Jake's face went white. He tried to pull away, but my grip wouldn't move. 12 years of military training versus 3 years of gym workouts. No contest. Let me go, he whispered, the fight leaving him. I let go and stepped back. Jake held his numb hand, fear replacing the attitude that started this whole thing. You want to know what I really learned in Special Forces, Jake? I asked loud enough for everyone to hear. How to read people. How to spot threats. How to know when someone's been giving information to the enemy. The gym was completely quiet now. See, I've been watching you and my wife for 3 months, I continued. Coffee dates that weren't training sessions. Late night texts about workout schedules. The way Sarah started showering twice and putting her phone face down during dinner. Jake's face went from white to gray. He didn't expect this conversation to happen in public. Sarah told you about our private life, didn't she? I pressed. About how I work long hours. How I've been distant lately. How things aren't good in our marriage. Jake looked around nervous, looking for a way out. But the crowd had him surrounded, phones still recording every word. What she didn't tell you, I said, is that I've been working those long hours to pay for her mother's cancer treatment. That I've been distant because I've been talking to specialists, dealing with insurance, making sure Eleanor gets the best care possible. The silence stretched. Jake was breathing shallow, panicked. Sarah doesn't know that yet, I continued. Wanted to surprise her once everything was ready. But you know what? I think she should know the truth about both of us. I pulled out my phone, found Sarah's number, and hit speakerphone. The ringtone echoed through the gym. Derek? Sarah's voice came through clear. I'm just leaving work. Is everything okay? I'm at Powerflex Gym, I said, keeping my eyes on Jake. Having a talk with your trainer. Pause. I can explain. No need, I cut her off. Jake here has been very educational. Told me all about your dedication to fitness. How you've been very committed to your workouts. Jake was shaking his head, mouthing no at the phone. Derek, please, Sarah's voice was tight. Let me come down there and we can talk privately. Actually, I think we're done talking, I said. Both of us. Jake was just explaining to everyone here how he's man enough to take another man's wife. Weren't you, Jake? Jake looked like he was going to throw up. Sarah, I continued, you should probably find a new gym. And Jake, you should probably find a new job. I hung up and put the phone away. Jake was backing toward the exit now, his reputation destroyed, his confidence gone. Where you going, Jake? I asked as he got to the door. I thought you wanted to embarrass me. He stopped, hand on the door handle, trapped between his ruined reputation and fear of making things worse. This is over, he said, barely audible. Just leave me alone. Oh, it's over, I agreed. But not how you planned. I walked closer. Jake pressed himself against the door. The confident trainer who called me an old man 20 minutes ago was now cowering like a scared kid. You know what's going to happen next? I asked casual. Those videos everyone just took are already uploading. Social media moves fast these days. Jake's eyes went to the phone still pointed at him. By tomorrow morning, every gym in Denver is going to know about Jake Martinez, the trainer who got beat up by a 51-year-old man, I continued. The guy who couldn't land one punch on someone old enough to be his father. You set me up, he whispered. No, son. You set yourself up. I just gave you enough rope. The crowd was loving this. Jake's downfall was being documented from every angle, his tough guy image permanently destroyed. Within 6 hours, the videos hit every major platform. TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. The hashtags wrote themselves. Hashtag gym humiliation, old man strength, karma gym or special forces. The Reddit thread got 50,000 upvotes and 8,000 comments. Top comment with 15,000 upvotes. Never underestimate a quiet man who knows exactly what he's capable of. The YouTube compilation had 3 million views by morning, with gym guys analyzing my footwork frame by frame. Jake's personal Instagram went from 12,000 followers to 3,000 overnight as people realized he was the guy from the videos. His fitness influencer dreams disappeared as companies distanced themselves from someone who'd become a joke. Powerflex Corporate called him at 6 a.m. the next morning. Morality clause violation, they said. Conduct bad for company image. His employment was terminated immediately, but the real damage was industry-wide. Denver's fitness community is smaller than people think. Word travels fast when a trainer becomes viral for all the wrong reasons. Every gym manager in the city had seen the footage. Nobody wanted to hire the guy who got schooled by a 51-year-old on camera. Oh, and Jake, I added, you should probably check your employment contract. Most gyms have rules about trainers who sleep with married clients. Bad for business when it becomes public knowledge. Jake's face went pale. He hadn't thought about that part. Please, he started to say, but I held up a hand. The thing about consequences, Jake, is that they don't care about please. You made your choices. You wanted to be man enough to take another man's wife, to embarrass him in public. Now you get to live with what that costs. I stepped aside, clearing his path to the door. But I'll give you some free advice, I said. Next time you want to steal something from a man, make sure you understand what kind of man you're dealing with first. Jake fumbled with the door handle, desperate to escape. But before he could leave, Sarah burst through the entrance, face flushed from running. Derek, wait. she started, then stopped when she saw Jake's condition. His split lip, messed up hair, the defeated look in his eyes. "What happened?" she demanded. "Your boyfriend tried to teach me a lesson," I said, calm. "Didn't work out how he planned." Sarah looked between us, taking in the crowd with their phones, Jake's embarrassed state, the weight equipment scattered across the floor. She said, uncertain, but Jake couldn't meet her eyes. His image as the confident, tough trainer was shattered. He was just a scared kid who'd gotten in over his head. "This isn't how I wanted you to find out," Sarah said to me, her voice small. "Find out what?" I asked. "That my wife was cheating on me with a boy who can't even throw a punch? I figured that out months ago." Jake pushed past Sarah and ran through the door, leaving her standing there in front of 43 witnesses to their affair. "Derek, please," she said. "Let me explain." I looked at her for a long moment, then shook my head. "No need, Sarah. I understand perfectly." I walked past Sarah toward the exit, but stopped at the front desk where PowerFlex's manager was standing with his mouth open. "You might want to review your trainer policies," I told him quiet, "and maybe invest in better liability insurance." Then I turned back to Sarah, who was still standing frozen in the middle of the gym floor, surrounded by people recording her embarrassment. "Sarah," I said loud enough for everyone to hear, "when you get home tonight, you'll find divorce papers on the kitchen table. My lawyer already has copies of the photos from your coffee dates with Jake and the text messages. Amazing what a private investigator can dig up in 3 weeks." Her face went white. "You hired a detective?" "Special Forces taught me to gather intelligence before engaging the enemy," I said. "Your boyfriend there made the mistake of thinking this was about muscles and attitude. You made the mistake of thinking I was too old and tired to notice what was happening in my own house." Sarah looked around desperate, realizing her affair was now public knowledge, documented on dozens of phones, probably already spreading across social media. The divorce proceedings were fast and one-sided. Colorado's laws usually split assets 50-50, but cheating changes everything when one spouse can prove they were supporting the family while the other was lying to them. Sarah's lawyer tried to argue I had abandoned her emotionally, claiming my work schedule drove her into Jake's arms. My attorney showed the Eleanor medical files, the treatment coordination emails, the financial records showing every dollar I'd spent on her mother's care while Sarah was spending our money on hotel rooms. The judge looked at the evidence for exactly 17 minutes before ruling. Sarah got her personal stuff, her car, and zero claim to our house, retirement accounts, or joint assets. 15 years of marriage dissolved with military efficiency. She tried calling me twice in the weeks after the gym incident. Both calls went to voicemail. Both messages were deleted without listening. There was nothing left to discuss. The time for explanations had passed the moment she chose to share our private business with a 25-year-old with more muscle than brains. "The house is in my name," I continued. "The cars are in my name. The bank accounts we opened when we got married, I closed those yesterday and moved the money. Legally, of course. Everything I did was completely legal." "You can't do this," she whispered. "Already done," I said. "Oh, and Sarah, you might want to ask Jake about his job situation. I hear PowerFlex doesn't like trainers who create this kind of publicity." I looked around the gym one last time. At the crowd still recording, at Jake's water bottle and towel left by the weight rack where his embarrassment began. "Enjoy your workout," I said, and walked out into the Denver evening air. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new downtown apartment reading the morning paper over coffee when an article caught my eye. PowerFlex Gym had closed permanently after viral videos damaged their reputation and led to multiple client cancellations. Jake Martinez had tried to find work at other fitness centers, but the videos of him getting dominated by a man 26 years older followed him everywhere. Last I heard, he was working at a supplement store in Aurora, his dreams of being a fitness influencer permanently destroyed by 30 minutes of footage. Sarah had moved in with her sister after the divorce was finalized. She'd tried to fight for half the house, but the evidence of her affair made that impossible. Eleanor's treatment began 3 weeks later. Sarah never knew that her mother's recovery was paid for entirely by the husband she'd betrayed. I'd started running again, something I hadn't done consistently since leaving the military. The trails around Washington Park reminded me why I'd loved Colorado in the first place. The mountains in the distance, the clean air, the sense of space and possibility. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister in California. "Saw the gym videos online. Proud of you for handling it with class." I smiled and put the phone away. The videos had gone viral, but not for the reasons Jake had hoped. They'd become a warning story about the difference between looking tough and being tough, between muscles and actual strength. That evening, I drove up to the mountains and watched the sunset over the Rockies. For the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. Jake Martinez's life became a warning story shared across Denver's fitness community, his embarrassment replaying endlessly on social media as gym members used his failure as entertainment, destroying any chance he had of rebuilding his career in the industry he'd once dominated. Sarah faced her own consequences when their affair became public knowledge. losing not only her marriage but also her standing in the social circles that had once welcomed her, forced to rebuild her life under the shadow of her very public betrayal. The viral videos served as permanent documentation of their choices, ensuring that neither could escape the consequences of their actions. Sometimes the strongest response to betrayal isn't violence or anger, but the patience to let people reveal their true character and face the natural consequences of their choices. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and ring that notification bell to get alerts about new stories like this one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.